Hey, this is Matt. Once again, we're about to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Whoot. There it is. I doubt he wanted me to say his real name, so that was a username he gave me, which is perfectly fine. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, commentaries, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Silent Hill 2, the game. Now, damn, did I really get this at this point? I guess I did. I just realized this was from a place I went to called Stuff Etc. and it was $10. Which good luck trying to find this game for $10 now, especially this PS2 version. Back in 2006. But I think I played this before, and sadly what happened was there's a point in my life where I think something happened with the PS2, and I'm like, well, I don't really play games a lot, so maybe I'll get rid of them. I think I got rid of a good chunk of games, and then I got pissed at myself, and then I started rebuying stuff, including this. And for those who want to see, there's the cover. I think this was on Xbox as well, but I didn't play much of Xbox. The silence is broken. And you do have the booklet in here, pretty thick booklet. You have the kind of control scheme, or a prologue. 3 years ago, James Sunderland's wife became seriously ill and passed away. James tried to pull himself together and resume his life after the loss, but struggled to get back on his feet. The emotional pain and emptiness left James in a constant state of mourning. Then one day, a cryptic letter arrives from Mary, the same name as his late wife. In the letter, Mary writes, "Silent Hill, Sanctuary Memories. We'll be waiting for you there." And they did some effort back in the day when they actually did shit like this, and they actually had booklets. It goes into new game, how to play the game. You get some nice artwork in there as well. And then the characters, like you have your lead, James Sunderland. You have Angela, one of the people you meet along the way, who definitely loves her mama. There's a little twerp girl named Laura. You get Eddie, guy who is tired of people picking on him. Weapons and items, item string, options, even hints. Even this here, like, just some nice artwork. Yeah, they don't do this anymore. And it even folds out here, I guess, to... What the hell is this, anyway? What is this for? Why would you do this? Name, address, date Silent Hill 2 was purchased, who purchased the game, how did you hear about this game, what type of video games do you like, what are your favorite magazines, Next Generation, PSM, EGM, PS2 Extreme, Game Pro, OPM, Game Informer, Nintendo Power. Do you own any other game systems? PC, Sega, Dreamcast, Game Gear, Game Boy, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. Wow, no Xbox, huh? Yeah, they didn't want to ask for Xbox. So was Xbox around at this time? Maybe it wasn't. They didn't ask it. How many PS2 computer entertainment system games do you plan to purchase? Who else in the family plays the game? And what are your favorite hobbies? What the fuck does that matter? Favorite hobby is fucking. Are you going to make a game now of that? And there's the disc itself. But yeah. This is the way to play the game. Do not get the HD collection. Honestly, if you can't get... I'm going to say this. If you cannot get this, then you can't play it. Because the HD collection, to me, ruins the game. It supposedly is HD, but it looks worse. The way they did the fog elements look worse. It looks like garbage. The fog at times looked like it was some roving figure that was just chasing after you. Or like you had this big, like, circular, invisible shield. And the fog was just out of the way. There's areas that should have more fog, but doesn't, so you see more of the graphics, which you're not supposed to. Because it's PS2, with limitations of the time. I mean, I know they fixed some of these, but I remember at one point there was a scream you were supposed to hear in a hallway. You barely heard it. When you went down this long, long passageway, you're supposed to hear this creepy siren, and that didn't appear. I'm sure maybe some of these were fixed in patches, but it's just horrible fucking thing. Again, I would say either watch someone's playthrough of a PS2 or just get a PS2 or get you an Xbox. HD collection can eat my nuts. Now the game itself, I've said before this is probably my favorite game ever because I remember playing this back in the day and get a very strong emotional reaction to it. Now I don't know if someone playing this nowadays would get the same, because there's been so many games since then that have come out. I mean, this was what? Was this 2001 or? I can't remember. This was a long time ago. And again, there's been so many games since. So I don't know if people would like the tank controls. If people would like the puzzle solving. But again, even playing it brings back a lot of memories of just having such a satisfying experience. And I love the Silent Hill games. I have Silent Hill 1 somewhere around here. Yeah, here it is. I wish I had a different case because this case is broken, but there's Silent Hill 1. But yeah, as you tell, the case is falling apart. Another favorite game, Metal Gear Solid, which I have with the Resident Evil 2 and Metal Gear Solid. And one of my favorite games. Along with Intelligent Cube. Again, no cover, but yeah, Intelligent Cube. One of the best puzzle games to me. But, and I do have Silent Hill 3. Which I would like to play it, but I would have to do it in just the old school camcorder looking at the TV. People say, why don't you do this? With a laptop computer, it's hard to do. And the way I've done it lately is with the PS4, because the PS4 will record footage, which is a nice saving grace. Now, get back to this. You're James. You go to this tourist attraction, this resort town, Silent Hill. You got a wife from your... you got a wife. And then you fucked her. You got a letter from your wife, but your wife died, so that's the confusion. And when you arrive there, from the beginning, I always thought the cinematics were fairly well done for its time. They still looked fairly good, the cinematics. Like, of the people, like James looking in the mirror. And the voice acting, I always thought the voice acting in Silent Hill was better than Resident Evil. I just always thought it was not as cringy, was not as goofy. And the music, like, I cannot praise the music. This is easily one of the best soundtracks of any music, of any game. The music is just outstanding, especially during a certain sequence which I'll get to much later. But you get really creepy angles and atmospheric music, and again, when you play the PS2 version, the fog. Same with the first game. What was great about these were you never got a full picture of the landscape. There was always some kind of distortion, whether it be the fog everywhere, so you can't quite see what's in the distance. Disorienting. It's like, man, I'm disoriented. What the fuck's going on? Can't quite see what's in the distance, what's in there. And then when it's inside or it's nighttime, you have this little light on your shirt, flashlight, so you can just makes the game a lot creepier, a lot more freaky. So you don't quite know what's going to be ahead of you, and you'll hear it at times before you see it. And the Silent Hill 1 movie stole stuff from this one, which is stupid because the stories are completely different. That's another thing that pissed me off about the movie. Like the things moving like this, as if they're in a straitjacket, but not. I'm like, that's from Silent Hill 2. There's a reason why it's in Silent Hill 2. Same with Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head should not be in the Silent Hill 1 movie. It's like the makers of the game, I would think, would be pissed, going, do you not understand what that character represents? Depression, guilt, especially guilt. That's the thing, this is a psychological game that has deeper meanings when you look into it more and more. Like the Pyramid Head and what it means. But what's interesting about the game is when it begins, you have this long walk to Silent Hill, into the town. The kind of get you used to the buttons, get you used to the environment, and this long journey. Sort of just waiting for the next thing to drop. And you see like this trail of blood, and you look up and you see something just in the distance walk away. The combat system is basic. Obviously when you're shooting, sometimes it's not going to aim the best, but it makes sense because the character's not a cop. He's not a professional. But pretty much if you get close enough, but usually you have to save your bullets and just use your melee weapon. A lot of times you kind of go up, boom, hit it, maybe go back, hit it again, then go back, hit. Maybe take a little bit to get used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not the combat system in Silent Hill Homecoming, but it's basic like the first game. Some people don't like that because they rather shoot an enemy, but I don't know. Once you get the hang of it, at least it's not too bad. Because the enemies are not, you're going too fast, or it's not too hard of a game. And even one of the great aspects is when you go into the menu, there are different sections, meaning action. Like it even says here, there are 3 options. Same with riddles, the puzzles. So even if you first play the game, like I know Michael, my friend, hasn't played this. So, spoilers. But there's an action level. See, there's an action, actually, right there, action level and riddle level. Action and level, action riddle. So you could change it for your preference. Hard, monsters are very strong. Normal, standard, easy. Weak monsters and simplified controls. Beginner. Enjoy the story, drama, and puzzles without fighting. So, hard, normal, easy, and beginner. So, I never tried this on beginner, honestly. That'd be interesting to try. Yeah, I just tried on normal, but... So yeah, again, beginner, I forgot about that. Same with riddle. Hard riddles are complex, normal, standard difficulty, easy riddles are simplified, and hints are provided. Regardless of the difficulty levels, the game scenarios and endings will be the same. So it does not punish you for that. So that's pretty nice. I mean, that is very rare. In this time you rarely saw this type of stuff. So action, you can either just have little fighting or complex fighting. Same with riddles, easy. Plus there's hints. That is, like I said, not many games did that. And again, they don't punish you for it. So that's pretty cool. And just the environment of the town, just broken down buildings, apartment buildings. You're alone for the most part. Once in a while you see a character like a woman. I should just keep this thing out because I'm bad with names. Angela, like I said, I'll just read it here. First meets her in the cemetery from the beginning. There is something shadowy about her. Ever since childhood, she was convinced that she would never be happy. She ran away from home shortly after graduating from high school, but her father found her and dragged her back home. She ran away from home again, this time to Silent Hill, but she is lost. And she's always like looking for her mother. You also meet this woman that looks a lot like your wife. Stubborn, bratty little girl, Laura. Eddie, simple-minded, clumsy, useless man who is deeply terrified of getting hurt. He has a quiet personality but also possesses another side that he cannot control when angered. So once in a while you meet these people, but for the most part you're by yourself. I mean, you feel an isolation. You feel alone for a good chunk of it. And again, that's one of the things that the Silent Hill movies never understood. I mean, Silent Hill 1, very rarely does your lead character seem to be alone. And the best part is the section she is alone. But then, like, the whole town is a cult, and you have, like, 50 people, and a cult right out of Jonestown, and I'm like, this is not Silent Hill. Like, this is... There is a cult, but at the same time, there's a reason why you're supposed to feel isolated and alone and this weird oppressive... My neighbor's roosters feel the same way. It's not one rooster, it's a bunch of chickens and roosters. But at least the chickens are quiet. It's the roosters who are assholes. Now I feel like I want some Popeye's chicken. I wish there were Popeye's chicken here. If I could eat it. But, like, there's a reason for the isolation. There's a reason for it to be there. A good reason. But anyway. Just a broken, like, everything's dirty and gritty and just been there for the longest time, and creepy moments like you go into a room to find the flashlight and there's just a dress there, and the dress kind of remind you of your wife's dress, and or all sorts of stuff. And it's a lot of it's psychological, that there's a bit more mean to it than you would realize. And that's where a lot of people like Silent Hill. Like, Silent Hill 2 is when that really started to get into, you go into the town. The Silent Hill 1 was a guy looking for his daughter, this cult. After that is when you went into a town, and it was based on, well, even Silent Hill 3 did, because Silent Hill 3 is a sequel to Silent Hill 1. So Silent Hill 2, people are drawn to it, and it's people who are damaged in one or another that are drawn to this town. And what you bring to it, in a way, is what comes out of it. And it's going to be different for each person. And that's why some people won't see certain things. Like there's a bit later on where the whole place is on fire. And that one girl, Angela, oh, you see it too? For me, this is what I always see. So for her, she always sees the whole town and hallways on fire. James only sees it for that one scene when he's with Angela. For James, it's seeing these different creatures, or Pyramid Head, which again, why should not be in the fucking movies? The reason Pyramid Head existed is that it's a representation of James' guilt, sadness, punishment. His absolute punishment. I need you to punish me for my own sins, but you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. Which gets to a big scene later on. And like I said, this is spoilers. And there's a lot of good creepy moments. There's a moment in the bathroom, and you're ready to leave, this weird, like, baby crying. Well, that was in the first game, but in this one's like a weird, creepy noise. Oh, shit. That was scared as shit out of you. You're in a hallway in an apartment building, you hear someone go, ah! And even the character's like, what the fuck? And there's like a bit where there's these bars in between you and the rest of the hallway, and there's a figure, and it's the first time you see Pyramid Head, and it's in this red, weird, eerie glow to him. And Pyramid Head, you see scenes of him like these weird mannequin legs, like creatures, and Pyramid Head's like pretty much raping one of them, and you have to hide in a closet. Like, it's a town that draws damaged people into these environments. And if you're looking more for action and combat, this is not the game for you. And that's kind of the difference between Resident Evil. Resident Evil is more of a faster pace with a lot more action and gunplay and killing of the monsters. This is more of just this oppressive dread and atmosphere enveloping, convoluting your soul, so to speak, and just sinking into the atmosphere of what's going on and the bits of the story that you could catch the more you think about it. And just the weird, creepy designs. That's why I always thought Resident Evil maybe more like Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 and Silent Hill 2 battle it out for my favorite game ever. Because Resident Evil 4 is much more fun, faster paced, but this one is much more creepier. I feel much more of the horror, and it has much more of a deeper story. So again, it's kind of one's 1A, one's 1B, and whichever one is like how I feel on that specific day. What's my mood? Are you in the mood for fun, or are you in the mood for a bit more depth to it? And like I said, there's a lot of good moments. I mean, there's a moment where you meet with Maria, and you're going through, and the way the camera, like you're walking towards the camera, and the camera's like following her back, and it's like you walking, and the camera's here, and you're walking, she's following you, and as soon as you turn a corner, boom, there's Pyramid Head. You're like, oh shit, he's right behind you. And it is, when you play games like this, you see how stuff like Jacob's Ladder and others were, they were inspired by that movie. And it's just, like, the puzzles didn't bother me too much. It seemed like there were less puzzles here than the first game. And the few that were in there, I didn't think they were that bad. There were definitely none that oh fuck, I can't play anymore. And again, there's always, I don't think you can change. I don't think you can change in the middle of it. I don't know. I think, but at the beginning, if you want to put them on easy, you can, and it doesn't change it. Doesn't punish. Uh, Again, that's an aspect that is no one really talks about, but it's rather bit positive on that, to have that feature involved with that game. The little girl is a fucking brat that you just want to kick through a field goal while on fire. It's a video game character. She's not real. My God, she's an annoying little twat. And there's creatures like under the grates of the floor, and I just, through this review, I just keep thinking about these great creepy moments. Whether it be in this environment where you keep coming up on these pits, you keep jumping to the pits as if you're going further and further and further into hell. Pits of despair, however you want to interpret it. Or you go down this long hallway or these steps, and you just hear this oppressive siren, which on the HD collection, at least last time I saw, you could barely hear the fucking thing. Again, maybe that's something they fixed. But just like, what the fuck? These eerie sirens, and you get a couple boss battles that are boss battle with Eddie in the meat locker, where you have to avoid his bullets and you have to shoot back at him. There's the creepy body bag and cages type of creatures that, if you have a gun, definitely helps in that factor. Again, it's definitely not typical. And that's, again, another thing that makes the game work rather well. And there's, one or two, and there's about 2 or so instances you have to fight Pyramid Head. Which at least he's slow enough that if you shoot a bit and get enough distance and shoot enough distance, you'll do okay. Because at least Pyramid Head's not the fastest guy. Although his knife has a good reach. So don't be too close to him. But he's not, too quick and fast. And like, I remember when I first played this, the truth was like a gut punch. And throughout you get these bits and pieces that your wife was sick and your wife was ill, and the doctor said she only had like maybe a few years, maybe even 3 months or 3 years. Like, it just, the doctor didn't really have a certain specific thing, but not too long. And she was dying. She was slowly eating herself away. The body was eating itself away. And she would get these violent outbursts against James and just treat him violently. So she was Amber Heard. But at least here she didn't mean it either, because the whole sickness and everything. And at times she would say she wants to die, but then she doesn't. Ultimately, James got to a breaking point, and whether out of not wanting her to feel any more pain, but also a bit of wanting this to end, suffocated her. That's another thing that sucks about the HD collection. The way that's shown in HD, they literally have like a fucking like fake TV thing. And I'm like, here it works better because it's just the screen as it should be. And you get the truth, and you kind of get a lot of it. I did this damaged person guilt, and depending, that's another thing about Silent Hill. Almost all of them have multiple endings, depending on what you do. So if you get this knife later on from Angela, if you keep checking the knife, you keep doing this, like if you never or rarely use your health. Like if your health would be in the red. If you always keep that on for a long time, you'll get this more suicide ending. If you stay more with the Maria character, who's kind of this kind of vixen version of your wife, you stay with her a lot. You don't run away from her when she's with you. Among other stuff, you'll get another ending. Pretty much if you do the typical stuff, like if you heal when you get hurt, don't look at the knife, certain stuff, more than likely you'll get the good ending, where you just leave. And of course there's also like some joke endings. In this case there's two endings as a joke ending. And like in Silent Hill 1, there's the UFO ending, where if you play for a second time and you find this object, if you use it at certain points of the game, use at all those points, you'll get abducted by a UFO in Silent Hill 1. And here, you'll see a UFO ending and another called a dog ending, which, if you don't know what that is, just look it up on YouTube. And they kept that up with Silent Hill 3, and I think even the other games they had it as well, I believe. Like Silent Hill Homecoming, yeah, those have different endings as well. Was that really the case in a lot of other games where they give you different endings nowadays? Well, no, that's not true. I mean, unless if you play a game like Until Dawn, where everybody dies, that's different from everybody lives, so I guess that's not true. And though they were Pyramid Head, again, being the source of, you felt this person was a burden, and you're punishing yourself, and like I said, Pyramid Head is a representation of your self-torture punishment. And then it gets to, are you able to forgive yourself? Are you able to let the past let go and die, or will you succumb to it? The thing about it is they never brought this character back again. Like, they brought the little girl, the baby became the girl in Silent Hill 3, and then they killed off the Harry character in Silent Hill 3. But Silent Hill 2, they never brought James back. So you never know what happened to him. I know some say one of the darker endings is canon. Well, teach their own. If they say that, oh well, I prefer to me, the better ending. I do think this cover could be better. I mean, I don't think this cover represents the game fairly well. Like, just this face. I think, is that Angela? Yeah, I think this could, I mean, at least have James on the cover. It could have a better cover. But this game, when it came out, a lot of people liked it. A lot of people enjoyed it. And it still holds up to this day. Wonderful game. Love it. Like I said, great music, great atmosphere, a story. Like when there's a letter that you hear about at the very end, especially if you get the good ending, that is, the voice actress did a nice job and is very heartfelt and kind of brings everything to a close in a satisfying way. It's very heartfelt if you get what they call the leave ending. Although, if someone would have to explain to me what the leave ending, the little girl is there, and I thought the little girl didn't exist. So why is the little girl there and James is following the little girl? Is James following the little girl kind of representation of her showing him the way out? If people say the little girl actually exists, then how the hell did she get there with no parents and stuff? So I just figured the little girl was fake, a figment idea of his imagination because of this whole thing that Silent Hill does, like this weird Bermuda Triangle area. Is she like leading him out, and as a representation of him getting the fuck out of Dodge, and she's showing the way? If anyone has the answer to that, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And also for people, feel free to let me know your thoughts on the game. I love it. I didn't realize I went for 35 minutes. Damn. But yeah, I love it. I would love to play this game one day, but it would have to be old school. Like I said, I don't. My laptop computer doesn't do the best with, how other people do it. That's usually people do with desktop computers. Idea for PS4, if it was that, do an act. Just take the game and put it on a PS4 disc. Same with You could do Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, and even 4. Put all 4 of them on a PS4 disc. Don't change a fucking thing on them. You don't have to HD it. Just put them as is. And people would buy it just like that. Well, let's all. No, trust me. A lot of people, if they could play Silent Hill 2 and 3 and 1 and even 4 without being fucked with, because not everyone has a PS2 or they don't have this. Fuck the HD collection. Ain't worth pop the piston. PlayStation, do that. Do it, since you're not doing jack shit with Silent Hill. Instead of pachinko machines. Fuck pachinko machines. But anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.